Hello there, and welcome to LitWorks, a podcast dedicated to exploring some of history's best literary works. I'm your host, AJ Crimson, and I sincerely hope you learned something new today. Thank you for joining me. Today's poem is titled Horatius by Thomas Babington Macaulay, published 1842. Lars Porsena of Clusium, by the 9 gods he swore, that the great house of Tarquin should suffer wrong no more. By the 9 gods he swore it, and named the trysting day, and bade his messengers ride forth, east and west, and south and north, to summon his array. East and west and south and north, the messengers ride fast, and tower and town and cottage have heard the trumpet's blast. The horsemen and the footmen are pouring in amain, from many a stately marketplace, from many a fruitful plain. And now hath every city sent up her tale of men. The foot are 80,000, the horse are thousands 10. Before the gates of Sutrium is met the great array. A proud man was Lars Porsena upon the trysting day. But by the yellow Tiber was tumult and affright. From all the spacious campaign to Rome men took their flight. A mile around the city, the throng stopped up the ways. A fearful sight it was to see, through 2 long nights and days. Now, from the rock Tarpeian, could the wan burghers spy the line of blazing villages, red in the midnight sky. The fathers of the city, they sat all night and day. For every hour some horsemen came, with tidings of dismay. They held a council standing, before the river gate. Short time was there, ye well may guess, for musing or debate. Outspake the council roundly, the bridge must straight go down, for since Janiculum is lost, naught else can save the town. But then a scout came flying, all wild with haste and fear. To arms, Sir Council! Lars Porsena is here. On the low hills to westward, the council fixed his eye, and saw the swarthy storm of dust rise fast along the sky. And nearer, fast and nearer, doth the red whirlwind come, and louder still, and still more loud, from underneath that rolling cloud, is heard the trumpet's war note proud, the trampling and the hum, and plainly and more plainly, now through the gloom appears, far to left and far to right, in broken gleams of dark blue light, the long array of helmets bright, the long array of spears. But the council's brow was sad, and the council's speech was slow, and darkly looked he at the wall, and darkly at the foe. Their van will be upon us, before the bridge goes down, and if they once may win the bridge, what hope to save the town? Then outspake brave Horatius, the captain of the gate, to every man upon this earth, death cometh soon or late. And how can man die better than facing fearful odds for the ashes of his fathers and the temples of his gods? Hew down the bridge, Sir Council, with all the speed ye may. I, with 2 more to help me, will hold the foe in play. In yon straight path 1,000 may well be stopped by 3. Now who will stand on either hand, and keep the bridge with me? Then outspake Spurius Lartius, Aramian proud was he. Lo, I will stand at thy right hand, and keep the bridge with thee. And outspake strong Herminius, of Titan blood was he. I will abide on thy left side, and keep the bridge with thee. Horatius, quoth the council, as thou sayest, so let it be. And straight against that great array, forth went the dauntless 3. Now, while the 3 were tightening their harness on their backs, the consul was the foremost man, who took in hand an axe, and fathers mixed with commons, seized hatchet, bar, and crow, and smote upon the planks above, and loosed the props below. Meanwhile the Tuscan army, right glorious to behold, came flashing back the noonday light, rank behind rank, like surges bright of a broad sea of gold. 400 trumpets sounded, a peal of warlike glee, as that great host, with measured tread, and spears advanced, and ensigns spread, rolled slowly toward the bridge's head, where stood the dauntless three. The three stood calm and silent, and looked upon the foes, and a great shout of laughter from all the vanguard rose. And forth 3 chiefs came spurring before the mighty mass. To earth they sprang, their swords they drew, and lifted high their shields and flew to win the narrow pass. Aunus from green Tifernum, lord of the hill of vines, and Seius, whose 800 slaves sicken in Ilva's mines, and Picus, long to Clusium, vassal in peace and war, who led to fight his Umbrian powers, from the great crag where, girt with towers, the fortress of Nequinum towers, o'er the pale waves of Nar. Stout Lartius hurled down Aunus into the stream beneath. Herminius struck at Seius, and clove him to the teeth. At Picus brave Horatius darted one fiery thrust, and the proud Umbrian's gilded arms clashed in the bloody dust. But now no sound of laughter was heard amongst the foes. A wild and wrathful clamor from all the vanguard rose. 6 spears' lengths from the entrance halted that mighty mass, and for a space no man came forth to win the narrow pass. But hark! The cry is austere, and lo! The ranks divide, and the great lord of Luna comes with his stately stride. Upon his ample shoulders clangs loud the fourfold shield, and in his hand he shakes the brand, which none but he can wield. He smiled on those bold Romans, a smile serene and high. He eyed the flinching Tuscans, and scorn was in his eye. Quoth he, "The she-wolves litter, stand savagely at bay, but will ye dare to follow, if Astur clears the way?" Then, whirling up his broadsword, with both hands to the height, he rushed against Horatius, and smote with all his might. With shield and blade Horatius right deftly turned the blow. The blow, though turned, came yet too nigh. It missed his helm, but gashed his thigh. The Tuscans raised a joyful cry, to see the red blood flow. He reeled, and on Herminius he leaned one breathing space. Then, like a wildcat mad with wounds, sprang right at Astur's face. Through teeth and skull and helmet, so fierce a thrust he sped, the good sword stood a handbreadth out, behind the Tuscan's head. And the great lord of Luna fell at that deadly stroke, as falls on Mount Avernus a thunder-smitten oak. Far o'er the crashing forest the giant arms lie spread, and the pale augurs, muttering low, gaze on the blasted head. On Astur's throat Horatius right firmly pressed his heel, and thrice and 4 times tugged amain, ere he wrenched out the steel. "And see," he cried, "the welcome, fair guest, that waits you here. What noble Lucumo comes next to taste our Roman cheer?" But meanwhile axe and lever have manfully been plied, and now the bridge hangs tottering above the boiling tide. Come back, Horatius!" loud cried the fathers all. "Back, Lartius, back, Herminius, back, ere the ruin fall." Back darted Spurius Lartius, Herminius darted back, and, as they passed, beneath their feet they felt the timbers crack. But when they turned their faces, and on the further shore saw brave Horatius stand alone, they would have crossed once more. But, with a crash like thunder, fell every loosened beam, and, like a dam, the mighty wreck lay right athwart the stream. And a long shout of triumph rose from the walls of Rome, as to the highest turret tops was splashed the yellow foam. Alone stood brave Horatius, but constant still in mind, thrice 30,000 foes before, and the broad flood behind. "Down with him!" cried false Sextus, with a smile on his pale face. "Now yield thee," cried Lars Porsena, "now yield thee to our grace." Round turned he, as not deigning those craven ranks to see. Not spake he to Lars Porsena, to Sextus, not spake he, but he saw on Palatinus the white porch of his home, and he spake to the noble river that rolls by the towers of Rome. O Tiber, Father Tiber, to whom the Romans pray, a Roman's life, a Roman's arms, take thou in charge this day. So he spake, and, speaking, sheathed the good sword by his side, and, with his harness on his back, plunged headlong in the tide. No sound of joy or sorrow was heard from either bank, but friends and foes in dumb surprise, with parted lips and straining eyes, stood gazing where he sank. And when above the surges they saw his crest appear, all Rome sent forth a rapturous cry, and even the ranks of Tuscany could scarce forbear to cheer. But fiercely ran the current, swollen high by months of rain, and fast his blood was flowing, and he was sore in pain, and heavy with his armor, and spent with changing blows, and oft they thought him sinking, but still again he rose. And now he feels the bottom, now on dry earth he stands, now round him throng the fathers to press his gory hands, and now, with shouts and clapping, and noise of weeping loud, he enters through the river gate, borne by the joyous crowd. Horatius, by Thomas Babington Macaulay, published 1842. Thank you.